Good evening, visitors, and welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Sharon Bown, and joining us today from the Australian Army is Warrant Officer Class 1, Andrew Shaw. We warmly welcome the family of Private Albert Henry Denne, whose story will be told shortly. We are honoured to acknowledge Mr. Gen Nakagawa, Mayor of Nara City, Japan, and Mr. Koya Higa Shikubi, High Commissioner, Nara City, Japan, and their accompanying delegation. We also warmly welcome former members of the 3rd Battalion of the Royal Australian Regiment, who are joining us this evening. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that continue to serve, and the families that love and support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by family and by visitors to the memorial. Would you please stand and join me in singing the National Anthem? Those that require a seat, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament. Flowers of the forest. Wreaths and floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Private Albert Henry Denne. Albert Denne was born in 1892, the son of Henry and Margaret Denne of Canberra in London. After attending London County Council School in Southwark, Albert studied engineering until the Denne family emigrated to Australia and went to live at Camekilbun near Dalby in southern Queensland. There, Denne worked as a grocer's assistant in the years before the war. Denne enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force at Dalby in August 1915. After a period of training in Brisbane, he embarked for Egypt with a reinforcement group for the 9th Battalion. They were destined for the Dardanelles, but the fighting on Gallipoli had ended by the time he arrived, and so spent the following months training near Cairo in preparation for the 9th Battalion's deployment to the Western Front. Sailing for France in March 1916, the 9th Battalion were among the first Australian troops to arrive on the Western Front and were filed into the trenches near the town of Armentières. In this relatively quiet sector, the Australians patrolled no man's land at night and carried out trench raids on the German positions until being moved south to the Somme in early July to take part in the Battle of the Somme. The 9th Battalion fought its first major action on the Western Front at Pozières on the night of 22nd, 23rd of July 1916. The battalion assaulted and captured a significant part of the Somme battlefield amid extremely heavy German machine gun and artillery fire. Victory came at a cost, as the 1st Division suffered more than 5,000 casualties in less than 3 days of bitter fighting. Among the 9th Battalion's 216 casualties was Albert Denne, aged 23, who was listed as being killed in action. His body was never recovered from the battlefield, and today his name is listed on the Australian National Memorial at Villers-Bretonneux, among 10,737 Australians killed in France who have no known grave. Albert Denne is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, among almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. He's seen standing next to his brother, George. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Albert Henry Denne, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Poziere or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. Please feel free to visit the poppy display in the grounds as you leave. You may also indulge in some refreshments at Poppy's Cafe, which will be open this evening until 9 p.m. You may also wish to join us back here in the commemorative area from 6:30 p.m. this evening for late night opening and tours. We thank you all for visiting the Australian War Memorial, and we wish you all a very good evening. Thank you.